Hello and welcome to Twisted Wonderland. This video is meant to help guide new players to the English version of the game or be a refresher on some areas. We'll mainly be covering the basics of what you will find when you first get into the game. My name is Koamio and I'll be guiding you along today. If there are specific topics you want to know, just click on the timestamps in the video to jump straight to them. So when playing the game for the very first time, you'll be shown a cutscene and asked to take the hand of the one reflected in the mirror. Afterwards, you'll see a carousel of some familiar villains and their dorms, and you can click through each of them to see the characters in each dorm. So choosing to take the hand of a character means they will become your first SR card in this game. The card you'll get is part of what's called the Ceremonial Robe series. It might be a little hard to decide at first, trust me, I've been there, but don't worry. You can end up summoning these cards at a later time. After the cutscenes and, choosing your first cards and going through all the tutorial parts that the game will kind of guide you through, you will eventually end up on the home screen. So we can check out and see what each of these home screen areas or aspects represent and what they do. And so I also have Jade here, whose hand I took, and he'll be also my representative in this guide as well. So just to look in each part briefly, so on the top left of the cursor, where my cursor is, you can see that I'm rank 10, so this is like my player level. And so the ranking goes up based on the lessons that I do. And so here you'll see that this part is the AP meter or LP, depending on what kind of games you play. They're essentially your life points, or action points in this case. So the maximum action points we can take in a day is 10 points. And so then we use those points to do our lessons. And they will then deplete to 0, and then we have to wait, I think, about 2 hours generally for the LP bar here, or meter, to fill up to 10 again after you've depleted to 0. So on this count here is the gems. So these gems are what we use to do summons when we get new cards in the game. And I'll go over that a little later as well. So before I go into further details on the other parts, I'll take a look at the lessons first, because that is the bulk of what you will be doing in this game. So in the lessons, you'll see all the different dorms that you can have characters take their lessons as, but you can see right now the grayed out sections are basically I don't own any character cards from that dorm. So I have no Savannah Claw characters or Scarabia right now. So for example, we'll use Octagonal. So when we press on the dorm, you'll see the characters that are in this dorm, and you pick your study partner for the lesson. So unfortunately I don't have any Azul or Floyd, but Jade is here. And so if I press on Jade, then you can see that I can take 2 different types of lessons available in the screen. So there's history and there's flight. So history lessons will essentially give you experience points toward leveling up the cards. Flight lessons will also give you points or experience for the character cards, but they will go towards the Vignette levels instead of the card levels. So they pose two different things to give you. So pressing on the history lessons, you can select what characters will take the lessons. And so here I have a team set up, but if I press any sort of face of the card, I can choose like the cards I want to put in the class. And just note that you cannot put 2 cards of the same character when you go do lessons. So I can't have 2 Riddles or 2 Jades at the same time. So you can also see here there are levels. So Jade is level 21, Riddle's level 13. So these levels essentially represent the card levels. And the higher the level, the stronger the card is, and I guess in the basic sort of summary of it. Right below it, you'll see there's something called a Vignette. So Vignette, right now everyone's Vignette's level is 0, but that's because I didn't put them through any flight lessons yet. And so at the very bottom items here, you'll see that there's 3 different little things here that all do different things. Essentially, if I go and take a look here, just give me a moment. So with the kind of like the macarons here, what they do is they will increase the card experience learn. So when you have this, it's kind of a little boost in place so that each card can gain a little more XP. The waffles here will increase the odds of your character, your chosen character, I guess the main one, getting selected in class. So essentially, the more times your character gets selected in class, the more points that they'll get. And then we have the cupcakes here, which increases the odds of achieving a great or perfect status. So let's say I go through the class here. Kind of get a sense of what I mean by that. So here we have all the little students here in class. So if I keep pressing the screen, you'll have the characters have a little dialogue. You'll see they gain little stars, and they'll do like good or like great. Sometimes get perfect. So then the value of the stars are different based on what they get. So when you get the little item box in the top left here, those are essentially lesson items that you get. And I'll kind of show you the results of what was received in that box afterwards. So keep going. So we're getting some good scores here. So Trey just got perfect, so see that it gave him a really good boost to the points he gets. And you're probably wondering, what's the point of all this? Well, we want the nice great or perfect statuses. And because the more points that we get for each of the cards, it essentially gives them more XP. So then you'll level up the cards even more. So from time to time, you'll end up, after a certain amount of lessons, or you'll end up getting a special lesson where the head mage himself, Crowley, comes in. And when you have that happen, essentially you get like more perfect results from it. So after that lesson, you can see that my player level itself has gained 50 points. It tells me that I need 20 more to reach rank level 11, which is the next one. You also get some thaw marks, some money there. And then afterwards, you'll take all the points and add them to the experience for leveling the cards. So the rewards we got 2 items resulting in that class. So this is kind of RNG based, so sometimes you might get more, sometimes you get less. So you can see right here that these items are used to enhance your cards. So that was all for history. Flight lessons work the same way as well. And you see I can select some characters that I want to have in this flying lesson. And so once I select them, I can't choose 2 apples. So now this time, essentially, instead of having all those points go towards my level, they will go towards my Vignette levels. And you want to raise your Vignette levels so that you can basically read your stories, kind of like their own personal stories. And it's really fun to do that because that's where you kind of get a sense of reading a bit of like story and seeing what the characters are like. So with the sugar cubes, these are similar to the macarons, and what they do is that they will increase the XP for the Vignette level. And then the waffle and cupcakes still do the same thing. Waffles increase odds of your character getting selected in class, like you saw, because when they get selected, they get the points. And the cupcakes increases the odds of getting that great or perfect status, which is will give them more points, which is what we want. But you can choose to withhold your items or spend them as you wish. So just take a brief look at the flying lessons. So it works this very same way. The interface is the same. You see Crowley's back now with his special lesson. So we're getting like some perfects. So it's nice to have the special lessons because we get some nice boosts in those like perfect points. And the characters also get like cute little animations when they get a perfect score. So I also want to tell you a very, very important button, alright? You're going to use this button a lot when you play Twisted Wonderland, and that in this very top here, you have loop and auto. So if I press auto, that means that this game will it'll go through the lessons. So I press it. You'll see to go through the lessons by itself. So that I don't have to touch the screen, and it'll kind of press the screen for me and get those character lessons. So now you're probably thinking, alright, well, I have to keep going back to lessons again, and then clicking through everything, and then going back to lessons. So, which is why I want to show you that other button, the loop button, which will be very, very important. So when I press the loop button, you can see here, this automatically repeats the same lesson. So when I turn this on, we will go through flight lessons till I run out of LP. So this is really handy because, you know, you have 10 LP to spend. You can just go to a lesson, hit this loop button, go okay, make sure it's on, and it will just keep going through the lessons over and over again until you run out. So this is essentially makes Twisted Wonderland has its own automation in a sense, and it makes it a really sort of easy to play a casual game. Because when all in all, Twisted Wonderland is a very casual game. It's not competitive. There's no player like PvP. There's no rankings. If you're familiar with some of the rhythm games that require you to rank for a certain level. So you see that the item I got was like something called like a secret snack, which essentially does the same thing as the vial of blooming honey, but it will help raise your Vignette level. So I'm just gonna go through the rest of this class here so that we can move on. You also enjoy the character dialogue during the lessons as well. So you see I actually ranked up to 11. And I got the secret snack. So this is a Vignette level enhancement item. And you'll use that in like the cards section, which we will look at later on. So while we're on this menu of the lessons, we also have something called chats. Here and in this case, Jade's tasks. So Jade's tasks are kind of like little missions with each character. So it's this one, so telling me I need to take 50 normal lessons with Jade, or you know, clear 6 different tasks. So it's pretty easy to fulfill the first few requirements. Then you get to the part where it's like, oh, it takes 300 lessons with like the same character. Then you just claim all. You get some of the items there. I got some gems. And then here is the chat section. So chats is essentially just little cute chibi dialogues between the character and some other character. And so it's just a nice little like extras that's like tossed in. So continuing on with lessons, if I go back, so this is my usual lesson menu, but this is my normal lessons. So if I switch to daily, so daily lessons is basically your potionology lessons in this case. And it changed the characters that you can take with your study partner in potionology changes on a daily basis. So if you want to know like you want to have a certain character and you want to know which day they might show up, you click on the calendar right here. And then you can see that, oh, on the 24th of January, there's going to be these characters that are going to be taking the course or the class. And then here are the other characters throughout the week. You also see what kind of enhancement item types as well. So these are the water books, or water enhancement items. We have the flora. So they're different elements as well. So you can plan your week accordingly if you have a certain character that you need to raise with certain water books. So it might still be a little bit confusing to talk about what are all these items, but it will make sense as we keep going, so trust me on that. So with potionology, you see that I only have Sebek at this point in time. And you can select a buddy. So every card you get in this game has an elemental type or elemental types, and you also have buddy I guess boost. So depending on like each card, for example, that Sebek card, his buddy is Azul and Lilia. So if I send Azul and Sebek, that Sebek card and Azul card out to battle, then they get a boost from each other. And the higher your buddy level is, the bigger that boost is. So it's good to raise them. So you see below, there are more items down there. So this popcorn here, this popcorn little thing is essentially increases the buddy experience earned. So their buddy level, they'll get more points and like level up a little bit more. The cupcake, again, it increases the odds of them achieving a great or perfect in the class. And this cookie here, it will increase basically your thaw marks or the money that you can get in this game. So if let's go and take a look. So we have potionology here. It's you can see all the interfaces are very similar, except this time you'll see that only Sebek is in this class, so only he gets the points. So it's the same thing. You have the loop option as well, and then you also have the auto button. So you can also all the classes lessons you can essentially automate it or just loop through them. And so he will just go through the class and then get the points, and all those points will contribute to you know, we have his the buddy levels, the player level. And you'll get the rewards as well. So here we have alchemy token and a blue notepad. So any sort of books, notepads, therefore enhancing the elemental part of the cards, and the alchemy is from you can exchange them in the shop. Alright, so that's a lot to cover for the lessons. So just remember that the bulk of your time in Twisted Wonderland will be doing these lessons. You'll be raising your cards, either their card levels, their Vignette levels, or you'll be like trying to farm essentially for the elemental books to raise their magic levels on the cards. Now the next part that we are going to cover briefly are the stories here. So there's the different types of stories technically. We have the main story. So here I'm still in the prologue. And in the prologue, you can click on it and you can see that I'm on chapter 9 in this case. So you can go back and replay previous chapters, so you can always go back and read the story. If you're a player who likes to skip through everything and just like, you know, do just the battles and the Twistunes and just read the story later, Twist gives you the flexibility of doing that. So you can always go back and just read the stories. So the story you'll have to go through from the prologue, then you'll be like book 1 and 2 and so forth. At this point of time, around the release, only the prologue, book 1 and book 2 have been released as well. And each book represents the dorm. So we start with the Heartslobule dorm, kind of like the story that revolves around them. And then we go to Savannah Claw for book 2. The second thing here we see is the vignettes. So vignettes are essentially each character card that you get has its own story attached to it. Alright, every card has a story. For example, Trey, I'll click on him. I have the R card for Trey, and he has the story called Open Your Mouths in this case. So when you click on it, you will essentially kind of read through like a mini story associated with that card. So again, you can only see the cards, character cards that you own. So again, with Apple, so because his Vignette level was reached the level 1, I was able to unlock the story that you see here. So some different card rarities actually have different amounts of story. So our cards only have like one story, well, kind of one story part, and that's it. So you read this part, and like that's the end of that. SR cards have two story parts, so you read part 1 and part 2, and then SS cards have 3 parts. So they have a little longer story to them, so you get to read a little bit more. And this is usually where you find out more about the characters, like their backgrounds, their likes and dislikes, their like family, any interesting trivia and tidbits. You'll find them a lot of times in here. So it's very fun to kind of, play with your different character cards and find out more about the characters as you go through the games. And finally, the third thing is the chats, which I mentioned in the lessons part. So when you bring a character to class, and you bring, I think in this case, different story conditions. There's different story conditions. So I believe, let's see, compassionate figure. So I have one chat that I got with Jade. And then the other ones tell you, oh, I need to, take 15 lessons and read the other story before it. So if you're ever wondering, like, what is the requirement for these story conditions, you'll see for this one, I need Floyd to be in a class with him. Alright, so that takes care of the stories portion. So right now, we haven't had an event yet, but once events occur in Twisted Wonderland, I believe you can also go and read the event stories as well once they show up. Now we're gonna look more into cards, because I've talked about cards quite a fair bit, so it's time to really figure out what they're about. So I am going to use Riddle as my representative here. So when you click on a card, you'll see essentially the rarity level of it, and then you'll see the card art. If you press the card itself, you can see like a nice zoomed in photo of the card in more detail. You'll see essentially what that card series is. In this case, this is the Dorm Uniform series. And you'll see this is Riddle's name. He's level 13, all things such as the HP and the power level. So the power level is essentially how hard he hits during battles. And this will increase as you raise the level of the cards. You'll see that his elemental type is flame, or like fire. So he has double fire cards. So in Twisted Wonderland, double elemental cards are, I think, actually quite rare. There aren't too many that have double elemental, and in this case, Riddle is an SSR with that double elemental aspect to it. And you can see that there's a type too, so he's an attacker. So he's basically a sort of like an attack card that uses two double fire type spells. And I only have one copy of this SSR card. So you see there's these like little circle buttons here. If I had more copies of this card, they would essentially uncap, and then you'll see like these little bubbles filled in based on how many copies I got of him. So that's just the general status. So we look at the card level. So this is where we raise the cards. So you may have seen these. Remember these items here, the little files of blooming honey. So these are used to raise the card level. So it goes in order of least amount of XP given to most amount. So these big vials, you can actually take a look. One of these will raise my card from 13 to 14 with a little bit over. So then if I choose just one, you'll see that I'm still in 13, but the experience is up a bit. And then the middle jar here, it's like, oh, it boosts me a little bit more, but still not in to the next level. So you would just like essentially keep pressing the plus button to essentially select the amount that you want to provide, and you can see on the bottom left how much that level goes up. You'll also see in the bottom how much it costs for you to raise this card. So that's why one of the reasons why we try to, you know, get the Thalmark's currency, because we need that to raise our cards, and they can get expensive, especially when you're raising their magic. Alright, so this, when you're okay with it, you can press upgrade, or you can just click reset to set your numbers back to 0. You notice here in the bottom left, there's a little refresh sort of button, but when it's not an actual refresher, if you click on it, you can just basically switch between cards. So now you can raise Sebek, or, you know, switch back in between different characters. So we look at the Vignette level. So remember, these were their mini stories associated with the card. So because Riddle is an SSR, he gets 3 levels. So he gets like 3 mini stories. They're all, you know, or 3 parts of his stories or his mini story with this card. And so we have little snacks here that you can, you know, use to like raise up that personal level, or here there's a Vignette level. So that's works similar to the card level. Now we get into the spells level. So here, oh, we get even the little pop-up here. So you use the items to boost your card spells, because, well, the higher your card spell levels are, the more that they will hit during battle. So it makes it more powerful, essentially. And so you get these from the alchemy lessons and also exams, which aren't unlocked for me at this time. But once you get past book 1, so you complete the prologue, complete book 1, you'll get it. You'll see it then. So here you see that every card has 2 spells. So Riddle, because Riddle is a double fire, both his spell 1 and spell 2 need the fire books. And you can see essentially what each spell does. So in this case, he just does strong fire damage. His spell 2 deals 2 hits of weak fire damage. And then so what you do is that if you had enough of these books, right now I need 6 of these notepads here and 2 of these fire books. So I would need to do more alchemy lessons, and then once I have enough, I can raise this spell from level 1 to 2. And likewise with with the second spell as well. I'll let you know that things can get really expensive once you start raising your spells at a higher level. So at some point you'll notice that you'll need a lot of these books of like different different types, or I guess you'll get the mix of notepads and like books. And then you'll also need quite a number of thought marks in order to enhance them. So raising the spells aren't quite as easy as raising their vignettes or the card levels. Now we go to the uncap. So when you uncapping is essentially you raise its level cap. So let's say a card's level cap was 80, then you can uncap it to 85, and then you can uncap it again to 90. So there's two ways of uncapping a level. One is you get more than one copy of that card. So if I had, let's see, one copy of Riddle, his maximum is 80, or level 80, that's how high he can reach. But if I had 2 copies of Riddle, it would uncap so that he can go up to 85 now. Another way of uncapping the level is using this thing called Awakening Perfume. So Awakening Perfumes, there's different types for different card rarities. So in R card, SR, or SSR cards, they use different Awakening Perfumes. And you can probably guess that the SSR one is a lot harder to come by. So yep, you can see right here, right now he's level 13, his maximum can only go to 80, but if I had another copy of this SSR Dorm Riddle, he could go up to 85. So if you really want to kind of uncap your characters, but you don't want to roll more gacha to try and get another copy, you can use these Awakening Perfumes. So they show up in the shops, and they can be rewards and events, but they are not necessarily easy to get, as a fair warning. You'll probably have more luck uncapping an SR card than you would with SSR. Now, finally, in this, we have the Groovification. So Groovy is you essentially does 2 things. 1, it makes the card stronger, and 2, you get pretty art. So you can see in the example here, you have actually even the example isn't actually showing the proper card that grooves into this art here, but you essentially use these items, and once you meet the conditions, you can groovy the card. You get these groovification items. Each character has their own specific sort of, I guess, lollipop here. That's what the groovification item is. It's essentially this lollipop that a character uses. And each character in this game has their own lollipop design, which is really cute. And you can get those just going through alchemy lessons with that character. So in this case, for Riddle, it looks like he needs 5 of those rose candies. And he needs to reach card level 40 or higher. And he also needs me to read all 3 parts of his card's Vignette, right? So he, with I think most cards with SSR and DSR, they both need you to reach card level 40 in order to actually groovify, I guess is what it's called now, groovify the cards. And you need to read their like all 3 levels of the cards vignettes. Another reason why you would, even if you don't care about the characters like mini stories or whatever, it's still good to raise the vignettes level so that you can actually groovify the characters. And once you do, you'll get nice new art of them, and you get nice boosts in their stats. So that essentially covers the cards part of it. It will come a little more naturally the more you play. Generally, you'll just raise card levels, raise vignette levels, and then depending on how strong you want your characters to hit or how much you care about your damage output in battles, you can also focus on raising spell levels after the first card and Vignette are leveled up. Alright, so now let's just take a look at the Twistunes. We'll go back to the mirror after. So Twistunes are essentially the rhythm game portion of Twisted Wonderland. And so any sort of Twistunes you encounter during the story when you play, or during essentially events that will come and pass, you can actually go back and play those Twistunes. And you'll find that you'll be kind of back here quite a fair bit because usually you have these weekly missions, and to complete the weekly missions, most of the time they will, or always, they will ask you to do like 10 Twistunes in the week as part of your weekly missions. So you can see, you can go through the different types of Twistunes. There's different levels, so you get like easy, normal, or hard. And you also get a reward list for each of the Twistunes that you play. So you can see here, I managed to reach a score of 6,000 on easy. You get some thaw marks. And you can see the requirements of, you know, getting these different rewards. And you can see right here, one of the rewards too is that you get one of those awakening perfumes by finishing with a full combo normal. So take this chance to push, kind of challenge yourselves, try to get those full score, high scores or combos so that you can get those nice rewards for doing so. So there's different types of Twistunes in terms of the notes that may show up or the criterias. So for the example, for these green notes here, you'll see at the bottom, it's a pure green line. So you can tap anywhere on the screen to match the notes to the circle there in the center. The short notes here have no long bars to them, and then for the long bars, you hold them down and let go. Then you'll also have ones where it's red and blue notes. So the red notes here means I can only tap on the right side to hit those notes. And the blue notes means that I can only tap on the left side. So if I end up tapping on the left side for the red notes, it won't work and it'll be a missed note. Throughout the game of Twisted Wonderland, you'll start encountering different variations of the notes, but the game does a good job of telling you what they do. So right now, the only available Twistunes are in the prologue, but when events start happening and they have Twistunes involved in them, then there will be a separate tab for the events Twistunes. Okay, so let's go back now and take a look at the mirror. So this mirror is where the gacha is. So this is where you do your summoning for all of your cards. So right now in this, since we just, had the server launch not a couple days ago, we only have essentially 2 banners, or 3, okay, that are present here. So you can get essentially the right now the tenfold summon is a one-time only, and you have to do a paid 300 gems. So there's a difference between paid gems and free gems. So you can see for me, I have a total of 384 gems. But 335 of those were free and 49 was paid because I actually bought like a monthly pass. And the monthly pass gives me 49 lump sum of gems and then 5 gems on a daily basis that are considered free. You look down, there's also the keys. So here there's like a single key. So a single key grants you 1 pull. Like just 1 pull. And then next to that, right now it's at 0, but this is a 10 key set. So it's like 10 single keys, which equals 1 tenfold. So you get a tenfold summon from it. So it takes 300 gems to do a tenfold summon. And when you do a tenfold summon, you get 1 guaranteed SR every time you do it. So you could actually choose. You can do, you know, only single summons, or you can do just like tenfold summons at once and get the guaranteed SR in there. So some banners will be kind of available at all times. So you see this one's the standard showcase. This one will always be here if you want to summon on it. But when the events come up, there will be limited banners where essentially it will run for the duration of that event, and then essentially once that event is done, you can say bye-bye to it until next time if you didn't get that card. So here there's actually the single summon you can do once per day, but it takes 10 paid gems. Or you can do a single summon with just 1 key, and then there's the tenfold summon. So here, if you click the tenfold summon, you can actually see your summon history from the past 10 days. So viewing results, you can see that this was my first 10 pull when the game prompted me to, you know, do my first mirror pull, and that's when I got my SSR riddle. So you can see your kind of past history. And one very, very important note is that if you look in the bottom left corner, there is something called the SSR gauge. So this is your pity meter. So if you do 10 or 100 summons, or 10 times tenfold summons, okay? You will reach 100 and it will guarantee you an SSR card. Now, it's essentially 50-50 from there. Because if you're pulling or you're summoning from a banner that's a limited event one, or like if once they introduce, I guess, character birthdays, limited character birthday banners, you'll get a guaranteed SSR, but it might not be the one that you're pulling for. So let's say that you know, Ace, for example, maybe he gets like a special event card that's just, you know, SSR Ace, and you hit that pity meter, there's a 50-50 chance you might not actually get him, and you might get essentially another SSR. It does happen. I actually don't think it's pure 50-50, so my bad. It might actually be a different percentage. I don't know the exact, but just note in mind that when you hit pity, it doesn't like 100% guarantee you get that card in the SSR in that manner. You could get another one, which has pained a lot of people before. But do know, yeah, at least there is a pity meter. So, like, after 100 summons, you will get an SSR. Oh, you can even see here there are actually details on the summon rates. So you see kind of your chances in terms of, like, pulling. So, like, Twist has a lot of, like, nice help sections and tutorials. So if you're ever lost in any section, you can actually, you know, press the question mark at the top right, and they'll tell you, like, the different parts. Or different, answer your different questions. So just keep that in mind when you go. And remember to gacha responsibly. It's very, very tempting to spend no real money on gacha games, but do know your limits. Okay, so that takes care of the bulk of what we do in Twisted Wonderland. So let's take a look at the missions section. So these missions are essentially your weekly missions, and it's a very good idea to do them because this is how you get gems. So by doing so, especially if you're planning on being a free-to-play, this is essentially where you're gonna get your gems to, you know, do the summons in the gacha. So you can read the requirements. It's you know, usually doing some Twistunes, going through a certain amount of lessons, which I've already done this week, and winning some battles in the exam section. So you have 1 week to do them. Just like make sure you get them so that you can get the nice 30 gem bonus from clearing all of your weekly missions. And then it will reset on Monday at midnight, as they say right here in the top. So here in the general section, these are just you can fulfill these requirements at any time, and then you can just claim the item. So it's good to go through, and some of them might just be you'll just naturally fulfill these missions, and others you just try to do them so you get those nice rewards. So players, make sure you do your weeklies. This is how you get your gems. Gems are very hard to come by. It's very, very hard to save, especially when you have multiple characters you like, because you'll find yourself wanting to pull very often. Or summon in this case. Alright, so now let's look at the shop. So we have Mr. S's mystery shop. So we have our nice shopkeeper Sam. And you'll see that there's different shops in here. So they will take different sort of currencies. So for example, for the paid shop, it looks like if I spend 200 gems paid, I'll get these like nice bundle sets. With the essentially because I'm a new player in the EN server and it just got released. The gem shop, you can see the things that you can buy. So these ones take gems, and then you'll see that there's an alchemy token shop. So when going through the alchemy lessons, you get the alchemy tokens, and you can buy the textbooks that you need to raise your character's different magics. So your magics are, we have the different types and also the items as well that you can use during lessons. So you can buy them here by exchanging your alchemy tokens. Then we also have Sol marks. So the Sol marks, aside from using them to raise your card level, you can actually buy the R card version of each character in this game. So use it to, I mean, you might get them naturally, just rolling on the gacha. You'll get a lot of R cards. But if you just really want to collect like a certain character, or you just want to buy the cards, you're free to go ahead and get them here. And then finally, we have also the Awakening perfume. So you can also use perfumes that to essentially buy backgrounds. So right now we can only buy the backgrounds of the MC's dorm, but as you progress through the story, you will get access to other backgrounds in the different dorms or from events. Now let's take a look at battles a little bit. So battles will occur during the main story chapters, and also during some events and the exams as well. So when you're about to face a battle, you'll see your opponent or your foe, and you'll see what sort of magic type they have. So in this case, our opponent has all 4 types. They have the fire, the flora, the water, and the void type. So you'll get a chance sometimes to select the support card, so it's like your friend support essentially. You can kind of choose whoever you want to help you with the battles. So let's say I picked one. So here you'll go into essentially battle with 5 cards, with one of them being the support that you picked. So if you put 2 characters on your team, they can get buddy bonus and they get a stat boost. So remember that you can actually raise your buddy levels between 2 characters, or like their cards specifically during alchemy lessons. So but you can use those to your advantage because they give each other's, you know, like bonuses during the fight. So there's an auto team function at below that it will just randomly make a team for you, and depending on whether you want to go for a balanced or like high HP and high power and the type of spell that you want to go with. Let's say I want to go with this team here. I got a mix of fire or water. Don't really have that much flora type, but let's just go with it. So I'm just going to skip through the story so I can automatically just go through the actual battle itself. So here we just like find some ghosts in the, you know, during the prologue. So here you can see that on the top we have the number of turns. So most battles end in 5 turns, and the team with the lower HP loses. So essentially, you want to either completely deplete your opponent's HP bar or lower it, so have it lower than yours by the end of the 5th turn. And you'll see kind of the sway of the battle based on this 50% gauge. So it will, you know, go to the left or right depending on which side is winning more. Calculated based on like, the HP that's like remaining. So on the left side, there's actually a first strike and a second strike. So this opponent will essentially attack, and so then the first opponent is going to use a Flora elemental card. And so this essentially how the elements work is that they have type advantage. Okay, so fire will beat out Flora, Flora will beat out water, and water will beat out fire. So if you ever play Pokemon, it's the exact same logic in terms of the type advantage. And then Void just is like a neutral. It doesn't have an advantage or disadvantage against the element types. So because we know our foe's first choice is Flora, the game is recommending me to go with Riddle, who uses fire. So if I use fire, then now I need to select my second attacker. So the second attacker, we don't know what element they're going to use, but we know what type of element they might use. So that's all the little symbols below. So you can see that this opponent has 2 Flora cards, 1 water, and 2 void. So it's kind of like guessing which card element are they going to put out. Because if they put out Flora, I don't have any fire to use as type advantage, but if they put out water and I put out let's say like Flora, then I have the advantage and I'll hit more. So kind of guessing. Let's say, all right, I will go with that. And once the 2 elements are selected, see them attack. Oh, so he used like basically a magic that I was not had advantage against. That's fine. So you see then their health depleted. I have like an 86% bar here going. So I am winning right now. So now again, you can see that the first opponent, we don't know what element he's using, but he's going to use either one of the double water, the void, or the Flora. So I can take a guess who it might be. I'm just going to go with Flora again. But the second opponent, I know he's using Void, so it doesn't really matter what element I use. So you can see if the enemy's weak or not, and if you deplete their health to 0, you win. So that essentially is the basics of the battle. So when you battle against you know, during the story, you can actually also auto battles at times as well. So let's see if we can let's try it again and see if we can you know, go back to the auto battle and fast forward it. So skipping through this again. So here, we're back in here. Last time I did everything like manually, but if you look, you know, in the top right, like we do in lessons, you can actually change the speed on how fast the characters go. I always set it at ×2, but if you want to watch them a little slower, you can go back to ×1. And then you have the auto button. So when I click that, the cards, they basically, they will get picked. So it's like essentially game AI will select the cards. They might not always be the best cards, but they'll just pick any sort of random cards and just complete the battle for you. So if you're strong enough, you can just win battles by hitting auto and then just letting the game select whatever card it wants because you're strong enough and you can beat the enemy regardless. So Twist makes things, you know, really easy in terms of, you know, looping through your lessons and going through your battles so that you don't really have to put a lot of time and effort into your lessons and your battles if you don't want to. So it's a choice. You can do everything manually yourself, or you can just, you know, set on autopilot. Finally, we'll just take a look at some last little bits on the left here of the home screen. So if I go with the letter, so this will give you all the information and notices about games. So you want to read the game news, you can go through them, see any sort of like maintenance updates, and just, you know, go through the mail. Then if I go into this little box here, this is where I would get gifts, but right now I don't have a gifts. So gifts could be technically, if you can, for events when they come up, you might get a certain card from completing certain requirements of the event, and they'll get sent to your gifts. But this is where you would essentially claim them. And you can see a log, so you can see like, oh, I got these the gifts claimed before. And then finally, we are going into the settings. So the settings, you see a lot like different things here. You can look at your profile. So if I look at my profile, you know, I can see essentially I can choose my favorite. I can change who my favorite is. I can you can change your name. You can also set a little personal message and set who your essentially friend support character is that your friends can use. So here it's interesting because you have a little tagline called Errand Runner. So if I click on the little swirl next to it, you can see that you can achieve different titles based on things that you do. So it'll be like, oh, what's this thing? A promising prefect? It means that I need to take lessons and reach player rank 30. That's a requirement. I have new prefect, so this was to take lessons and reach player rank 10. So you can get a little different titles based on things you do. That includes like characters, so if you spend a lot of time with a character as your study buddy, you might get little achievements based on that. So you can be their like study buddy. I think there's like one title that you can be their bestie. So you can set that for yourself. So right now you don't have anything else, but you can so yeah, here's Leona's bestie. So you can take a normal lesson for Leona 1,000 times and you will get this nice title you can set for yourself. So now going back here, I want to look. So you can look at your friends list. That's kind of self-explanatory. You can send friend requests, receive friend requests based on their IDs and all. The archive is, you know, you can read through all the stories basically. So here's the event stories. There'll be miscellaneous stories. So if you ever just want to blaze through the entire story again from prologue to whatever book or chapter, you can go right here. So it's nice if you ever want to just, you know, reread things. You go to the album, so you can just see character profiles. So this is where you can find little, you know, fun facts, infos about the character. So here's Riddle. You can see when his birthday is, how old, and his height, where he's from, where his club is, their least favorite foods, and their talents. So it's fun to sort of read, and you like learn more about the characters as you get their cards. So it's all their nice descriptions. And so now you go to items. So items are essentially, you can see all the items you can use in your lessons, all the upgrade items for leveling up cards, wherever candy or like character items you use for groovifying them, and then, you know, all your tokens, coins, and keys. You can see essentially an overview of what you have in your inventory. Then there is help. So if, you know, you want to figure out what exactly certain things mean, what was you know, these different terms, you want to go back to tutorials, or like, you know, learn the game basics, like it's all here. So if this video, you know, is missing some parts that you want to learn more about, or if you know, I didn't cover something, or you want to, like, you know, refresh your memory, just go to the game's help section. They are readily accessible. And then finally, in your settings, you can choose, you know, a little text speed and your dialogue. And then you also adjust the timing of your Twistunes, what kind of style you want the notes to be. So you can kind of customize things a little bit there. And then you can also, you know, set a transfer ID and like password for transferring your game data. So this is very important, guys. So make sure that you actually, you know, set a password for transferring your game data, because if you ever come across, you know, you accidentally drop your phone and it doesn't turn on ever again, or if you need to transfer your Twisted Wonderland game to another, you know, phone device that you're using, like, you'll need the transfer ID to so that you don't lose all your game data. So I suggest everyone to go and, you know, set this password to transfer your game data, and write that down and store it somewhere really safe. And then you can also transfer your game data by linking it to an external account that you have. Yeah, you can also set push notifications for Twist. All that can be adjusted in your settings. And that's all. We covered quite a lot. I tried to be in depth because I want, you know, to make sure that all new players get as much information as I can, even though it ends up being, you know, a little lengthy. But I figured to throw in some tips here and there from coming from playing on the JP side for so long. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope it all is informative to you all, and that helps you in, you know, your adventures in Twisted Wonderland. Like or subscribe if you liked this tutorial, and comment as well if you know, maybe there's things I missed or things that you might want to see in the future. So thank you all for watching. Wish you all good luck being prefects in Ramshackle. And this is Koamio clocking out.